I'm going to show you how I think about editing down this file. So a customer sent me this. They're announcing plays in a football game. And so they've got chunks of audio, kind of like with big chunks of silence in between the plays. And what they wanted to end up with was like one big chunk for each play, kind of, and then have the middle parts cut out. So here's how we could get to that in Recut, a few different ways. So one way, the first thing we want to do, I think, is drag the super slider down to something more natural. Because with it on super, you're going to get like really tiny cuts and everything's really, really tight together to the audio waveforms. If we drag this down, you'll get a little bit more breathing room and it'll get rid of some of the smaller cuts. We can also go into the customize menu here and you can change all these settings, which are pretty much these numbers are getting set when you change this slider. So these are all just kind of presets. So you can go in here and we can increase minimum duration, which is going to get rid of more of the small stuff. You can see as we get bigger and bigger, it keeps taking out bigger and bigger chunks of red. So we can get close to what we want, like there. We've got kind of blue here, blue here, blue here. We can also play around with the padding, which gives us space kind of on either side of the waveforms. From here, we could go over to the threshold, and if we uncheck auto, we can change this number. So this is how Recut decides what is silent or not. And if we increase this, you can see once we get high enough, it just eats up the entire file. We don't want that. But there is a setting kind of where it gets rid of these little blips. And this only really works if your audio is very clean. So where it's silent, it needs to be like a flat line, and where you're talking, the audio needs to be pretty loud. If your audio is different, where your talking areas are very close to kind of your background noise, then this threshold technique won't work very well. You kind of have to leave it on auto. But in this case, because we have clean audio, we can drag this up, and that pretty much gets us to where we want. And then we can do a couple more tweaks. If you don't have that, you can also play with minimum duration and stuff until you get close to what you want. And then you can go over to segments mode. And now from segments mode, you can click on these little areas and delete them or whatever. So these blue ones here, you can click and drag a box and then get rid of a bunch at once. We can get rid of this one. And then maybe we want to keep this part, don't have a cut there, so we can delete that. I'm just hitting backspace or delete to delete those sections. And then once that's done, we've got our kind of three big blue sections. We got one here, one here, and one here. And then the last thing is maybe this little, the leading part of this has a little blip. So we could drag this over and cover it up that way, or we could make a manual cut with this split clip button. And then that'll actually make a new clip here, and we can click on that and delete it. It gives us an edge that lets us delete that area. And then we got our three areas. And then once you got that, you can click on remove silence, and then you'll have three clean clips, and you can export that to your favorite editor, whether that's Final Cut or DaVinci or Premiere or whatever. That's it. I hope that's helpful.